Welcome, friends. LostScarf here. No joke at the start because I can't think of one. I just can't. I can't think of one. So let's talk about channel, personal things, and then a thought. Channel things are Kirby podcast is up to the 11th episode now, so that's good. 11th episode meaning the Kirby's Dreamcast, Dreamland, so that's cool if you're a fan of the podcast. Making progress on that channel. Gameplay footage of Kirby's Toy Box is gonna come up real soon. Actually, it came out today on the side channel. So if you want to see footage of Kirby's Toy Boxes, I gathered footage for the podcast. That episode hasn't been recorded yet. Been really dragging on that. It will be recorded and done eventually. What's slowing down that one is I want to add drawings to it because I do storytelling, of course, with the gaming episodes, and I want to draw some of the things that happen that are obviously not in the game. Kirby's Toy Box is like these 8 games, and they're just games, like they're just mini games, and I want to tie them together a little bit better. So there's some storytelling to it, and there needs to be drawings, which means I have to draw them and I have to be confident in that drawing, and I just have not really done it. It's really just a confidence thing why I haven't done it yet, and eventually that'll get done, and then Jinx will have to put in the work on editing it together, and the script's done, but it's just getting some of it done. In other fronts, Amiibo Fight hasn't been worked on in over a month because of the back. Like, a lot of things have been worked on because of course, back surgery and recovery. And just the pain from that. Really, pain is really distracting. Channel stuff, re-recorded PlayStation 1 Metal Gear Solid, which is very interesting. Playing it, it made me think about Kojima and just thinking that maybe people give Kojima a bit too much credit. And then we're going to play Twin Snakes tonight, and then I can go through all of that. And I don't know when we're going to put up those LPs. Because Hyrule Warriors comes out, and that's going to be the next LP after, well, the Breath of the Wild hardcores, because why wouldn't it be, of course, just a whole lot of Zelda. So we'll see when Twin Snakes and original Metal Gear Solid come out. Might end up having to do 2, 3, and 4 and all that. We'll see. We'll see. Apparently 5 is really fun to play, but the story is really silly dumb. And I feel like that's also 4. Like, 4 for a lot of people just made them go, what the hell? 4 kind of retroactively ruined 1 through 3 for a lot of people, and I don't disagree with them on that. It was really silly. But honestly, I think if you go through the Metal Gear games as story, just for their story, no. For their creativity and doing a lot of ideas, you can really appreciate that. Their story is silly, it's always been bad, it's never been good. They're trying to say something, but they're trying to say something the way I'm trying to say something in these vlogs. When they're very much raw, not refined, and potentially not as useful as they could be. A more refined idea could be amazing. Like, I really do think we give the Metal Gear games too much credit because there's a lot of good to it. But there's also a lot of just fluff and not very good and actually bad stuff to the Metal Gear games. But the good stuff just outweighs it, which is very interesting because in a lot of ways and a lot of things, the bad usually outweighs things. So it's curious. I have other gameplay coming out on the side channel, one-shots. Again, because of the back surgery and recovery, I've been really slow going on the indie stuff. I gotta get back on the indie stuff. And I might do more for the Pornhub stuff too. Because I know how some stuff has been thrown at me there as well. But I'm not... It's interesting, honestly, where my output was really up there when I was doing my work. I had a job taking up 8 hours a day. Now that I'm just at home and I'm beat up and everything, my output has gone less, and that's just... It's been spending a lot of time just dealing with the injury and trying to recover from it and everything. It's weird. It's just really weird. The more free time I have, the less I've gotten done. Like, I guess work gives me structure to get work done. Or something like that. I don't know. That I'm just in a spot where I'm just not doing as much. So moving from the channel to personal stuff, which is affecting the channel, of course, it has been officially as today a month since the back surgery. Just realize that. It was on the 15th of October, and today's the 15th of November. And I've talked about the back surgery a number of times. A month later, it still hurts at times. In certain positions, it hurts. I have not been on my stomach for a month. Like, being on your stomach does a lot of just messes with your back. So I have not been on my stomach for a month. I have not bent over for a month. I have not kneeled. I have just been in like sitting, laying down, and standing up. I have not been in any other position. And I can't be just because of my back. It's very interesting in being that way, where I used to because I was a stomach sleeper. Now I can't even do that anymore, which really sucks because that's been me for 30 years. Some bitch. That's something else. So yeah, just trying to walk and get mobility and try to lose weight and everything and diet well. It's hard to diet when your family likes cake, and then you're like, well, I don't want to miss out on the cake. So I was 191 last week. I'm 192 this week, and I know it's because of the cake. It's 100% because cake. It's cakey. Who doesn't want cake, right? Who doesn't want cake? So I just got to work on that. Got to keep dieting, and then physical therapy's in 3 more weeks. We're just taking it slow, healing up, just being smart about it. Don't do anything silly. I haven't lifted anything. The heaviest thing I have lifted up, and this is not from the ground, of course. I have grabbed or held or anything, is like a box of chicken, like a bucket of chicken. That's the heaviest thing I've held. Or actually, a pot full of chicken. That's the heaviest thing I've had in my hands. I can't go back to work until I can pick up 50 pounds. And it's amazingly, I want to say humbling, but it's not humbling. It's just demoralizing and humiliating that I can't do that right now. It really is. Some more personal stuff. So, I very much said it in passing. I was given a therapist for mental issues with the accident and the injury and everything. And I have been diagnosed with PTSD. Which really, I think taken aback is the word I use. It's just it's just short of overwhelming. It's like, whoa, that what? And then just dealing with that. And the older you get and the more, not civilization, but just more society, that's the word, has dealt with mental issues and everything, the more they've made it okay to have weaknesses. Because I was raised on manliness and as they put it, toxic masculinity. So to have PTSD, unless you're a soldier, is a weakness. To be depressed is a weakness. To be sad is a weakness. To cry is a weakness. Like all that stuff. And all that stuff blew up a long time ago for me and led to, well, when I almost tried to kill myself. When I tried to kill myself. That all led to that back then. And I've gotten over a bunch of those things now. But PTSD is one thing I have not had to deal with, and so now I gotta deal with that, and I feel this like I don't deserve sympathy for having PTSD, which is not the right thought process. Because, what the hell am I doing with PTSD? All I did was get hit in a car accident. And the thing is, PTSD can come from a lot of things, and some friends have come out that they have PTSD as well. What really makes me sad about it is just learning which some friends got it from. I have military friends, so of course they got it. And the reason why I justify it is because they were at war and they were in these combat situations. So I've always justified PTSD with those guys because they're in an intense situation. But another one is I have friends who they were sexually assaulted, and that puts a knot in my stomach knowing that happened to them. It's very, very unfortunate. That's really messed up. So they have PTSD from that. And one of my friends, they said everyone has different kinds of trauma, but there's always someone with it worse and things like that, and I'm jumbling it up, but it's just basically that you can't just compare your trauma to someone else's. Because if you do that, you're just going to feel a lot worse because some people have some real awful traumas. But you have trauma and you got to deal with that, deal with your trauma, however much, and then whatever it is, and just I'm jumbling it up a little bit. I got PTSD. That's it. I have PTSD. The car accident was a block away from my house. Every day I go to work, I'm at the red light where I got hit. Every single day I go to work, I'm at that spot. And I'm a little more aware. I'm just paying attention a little more when I'm in that spot. And that's from the PTSD, apparently. Every time I see someone in the rearview mirror, I'm a little tense. Every time. That's from the PTSD. And it makes sense, because that's what happened. I was at a red light, I sat there, and a dude hits me right in the back. There's nothing I can do about that. So there is a sense of helplessness, because I did everything I could possibly do right. All I can do is, accept that, or, as a screwed up person in the head does, is go, what karma did I do to deserve to get hit rear-ended and have no control over that? What did I do? You see it as a failing. And in the darker times, it's like, well, I deserved it for some reason. And it's a really bad way to think about it, of course. So the therapist wants to put me on antidepressants. And the way he puts it is, it's like a tire jack. We're not going to have you on it forever. You're just going to be on it for a while. You jack your car, and then we're going to fix the tire, which is your mental issues. Or just help me learn how to deal with my PTSD, I think is the better way to put it. And then put the jack away, and then you're good. So, gonna talk to pharmacists, whatever kind of doctor you talk to for antidepressants, and try to do low dose at first, and see how that goes, and things like that. And yeah, the therapist put it as what's the word here? Severe PTSD, which didn't see that coming. So friends who are on antidepressants, they talk to me about the options you have for antidepressants, and you should be very honest with what your feelings are, if they're working, if they're not, things like that. Because one said he was really lethargic on one, and then they changed, and now he just feels better than he's ever been. Another one, they're happiest they've ever been. But families always gives you the horror stories. So my uncle. And my uncle was only with one woman his entire life. And all my memories of my aunt, his wife, are happy memories. She was the nicest person I ever met in my life. She was a very nice person, very, very sweet, very caring. And then she got diagnosed with diabetes. And everyone in the family tree got to watch her slowly shrivel away and die over 10 years. She just slowly died. It was just very sad. Of course, my uncle, who was with her every step of the way, had to experience all of that. And he deeply loved her the whole time. It's that rare love of just, this person's their world. My aunt was my uncle's world. He was there every step of the way. He cared about her very much, and of course there's so much grief during it and after losing her, after she died. It was a very depressing time for everyone, of course, but for him more than anyone else. Of course, also his daughter. Of course, it hit her too. There's trauma there. But he's been on antidepressants for a very long time, to the point that he says if he doesn't take him, he doesn't feel normal anymore. And so that's one that scares me, of course. That's a scary thing. It's a shame. It's a real shame. That's where my uncle's at. It's a real shame. So that of course scares me. But the way someone else put it, because they've been on antidepressants for a long time as well, is they put antidepressants as glasses. Yeah, you can see like this, but glasses help you out. You can see things much clearer with glasses on. And for some people, you're just going to be in glasses forever. You're just always going to have glasses on. I'm one of those people, by the way, for a genetic reason. I have thin retinas I can't remember what it's called, and I should know it, but I don't know it. And so they get thinner and they tear, and so I've had laser surgery to burn them in place, to cauterize them so they don't tear apart. So I cannot do laser eye surgery, like LASIK, that's the word. I can't do that. No one in this world will take a chance to do LASIK on people with my condition, because they could blind me instead. They could accidentally make me blind. Because what it actually is, what LASIK is shaving off stuff, just shaving off crap in your eyes to make your lens better. That's what it is. And so if you have thin retinas, it was like, well, if you screw this up, then you might just burn the retina and there's nothing there now. So that's why a doctor will not try to do that treatment. I learned this not because of LASIK, but because of a safety inspector who was explaining to us that one time they dropped the ball, kind of literally. They were using a special acid in their bathroom, like they just took it from work, which, oh, that's great. Don't do that, of course. Don't steal from work, although we all do it, I'm sure. But she was working it, and then she dropped the bottle, and it dropped, and you know what happens when you drop a bottle? Sometimes stuff spills up. It spilled up right into her eyes, and they took her to the hospital. She had these suction cups on her eyes, just pumping water into her eyes constantly, and it actually improved her vision, because the acid burned away the crap on her lenses. Like, it just made these lenses just refined them, or not like polished them down. That's what it did to her eyes. So she gave herself LASIK on accident. That's a trip. That is straight up a trip. So at some point I'll be on antidepressants, and we'll see how that goes. I'm hoping are gonna go for low dose. I'm gonna try to get them to do that. I assume I can tell them that I want to do that. Also, because we are in San Diego, we are in a biotech capital. They have DNA tests that will tell them which antidepressants are potentially more receptive than others for me. Like, which ones would work well with me, which ones would not. So that's a cool thing to know. So at some point I'm going to do that. I have called them. They haven't given me an appointment yet. So, you know, with the virus happening, who knows when that's going to happen. That might take a while to happen after all. All right, so the last thing is the thought I wanted to talk about, and that is, let's talk about racism again, because I don't think I mentioned this before, because it's a thought, and it's an annoyance with where we are now. It's not 100% political. It's less about politics and more about just people, and that is something that has been thinking about and bugging me, and that is what multiple people have said to me with the same thought process, and that is, we can't be racist. We had a black president. Bitch. So what Obama did is when he became the president, he became our one black friend. He became America's one black friend. So you think it's okay, maybe, just maybe, to use the soft A. People believed racism was dead when Obama got elected. How silly is that? They thought, oh, we don't have racism anymore. What are you talking about? We don't have racism. We have a black president. Now we had a black president. My boss says that. Like, he's like, there's no, like, we don't have racism anymore. We had a black president. That's how he feels. I don't know how he can feel that way and then see Trump's rallies and not feel a tinge of, wow, they really want to hurt black people and other minorities. I don't know how he feels that way, because he born and raised from the racist part of San Diego. There's a part called Santee, and it's also called Clan-Tee. It's a very white place, and it's definitely very racist. There's also eastern parts of other states, like eastern parts of Seattle are very racist, and things like that. But, I said states when I started talking about cities, but yeah, there's still a racist place, and you acknowledge that, but then you feel like your country isn't racist, which is a very interesting thought there. It's very weird to believe your country isn't racist when your president was saying that Mexico only sends their rapists and their killers. Like, only the bad people are coming across the border. It's a very, very weird thing to say. The border wall was bipartisan until Trump made it unnecessarily racist. Both sides wanted that wall, but they had to argue over it. In the end, Democrats were like, look, you want that wall? We'll give it to you. Just give us DACA. And under a different president, that would have happened. DACA would be just solidified, and then the wall would be going up. And we'd have the wall. Instead, we had this stupid politicization of the wall, and we had this stupid politicization of DACA. DACA would have been politicized no matter what, actually. But the wall was bipartisan. Now, it might have been a fence more than a wall, but because the way Trump just made it so polarized, that's what happened with the wall. It's just all the BS we've had with it. And it's not even all that effective anyway. We see footage of people just going over the wall because what happens? You make a 10-foot thing or a 20-foot thing, they're just going to make a 21-foot ladder. That's how it be. The wall's not enough. It's more personnel is more important than the wall itself, I feel, or just actually just making things better in South America, just helping South America be a better place so that people don't feel like they need to refugee out of Mexico, out of other countries in South America. That would be better. Better way to put it is Central America and South America. If we help those countries do better with themselves, then people don't feel like they need to come to America. Unfortunately, of course, some countries are a bit ridiculous. Brazil, for one. Jesus Christ. But back to racism. We forget that Ferguson happened under Obama. We definitely forget about that. Like, Ferguson happens, and that should have been a wake-up call. Like, oh yeah, racism's not dead. What are we talking about? It's weird to know there are parts of the country where you don't want minorities to be. Like, you don't want your minority friends to go there. Like, I have friends from Texas who are like, if you ever visit Texas, these are the places to go, these places not to go. We know racism is alive and well in America, so why do we believe? Why do we believe that racism is dead in America? I don't understand that when I think about it. Brown versus the Board of Education was only like what? Let's see, was that 60s? 70s? Either way, it was only a couple decades ago. Slavery was 1800s. Like, the Civil War, the abolition of slavery was 1800s. It's only been like a century and a half, well, a little bit more than that now. I'm forgetting dates at the moment. It's not been that long. It's only been like 4 or 5 people ago, maybe 6 people now, when slavery was abolished. And it was like, let's say like 1600s is when slavery started in America. I don't think it was 14, 16. 1600s is when slavery started in America. We've had more slavery than we've had freedom for black people. Let's not forget redlining. Let's not forget freaking Juneteenth is ridiculous. Let's not forget Black Wall Street getting burned down. The problem is, honestly, that history is not just written by the winners, but written by people who don't want to remember the ugliness of this country. That is the fact of the matter, actually. I feel like I'm going to both sides it. I feel like just everyone doesn't want to remember the ugliness of this country. So we don't talk about it. It's not in our history books. I know damn well Juneteenth wasn't in my history book. I know damn well Christopher Columbus wasn't covered correctly in my history curriculum. For me, in school, when I was a kid, it was Christopher Columbus was the friend of the Indians. He came, he was very nice, very friendly, and then he was able to just get things out of them. Anytime he had to be violent with them was because of misunderstandings and communications. That's all. That's the only reason. I had to go to college to learn that Christopher Columbus was a monster. I had to go to college to learn about Juneteenth. I had to go to college to learn about just so many damn things. All you learn about Abraham Lincoln is the Emancipation Proclamation and the Gettysburg Address. That's all you learn. You don't learn about his second speech. You don't learn about all the other speeches. You don't learn about any of the battles, really. All you learn about with the battles is total war. All you hear about total war when it comes to Grant is that they attacked, and they attacked, they attacked, they attacked. They attack, go to the left, attack, go to the left, attack, go to the left, burn everything down, ruin everything economically so that the South just has to give up. And then we just learned from Reconstruction is that it was rough because, well, the North wrecked everything, and it was a president who was, Jesus Christ, should never have been president. And that they just did all, like, the Jim Crow and all that bullshit happened. We learned a lot more about the treatment of the Irish in New York, now that I think about it. We learned a lot more about the treatment of the Irish in New York than we did about black people post-Civil War. That is weird. And that comes to another situation. This is where we're going to end here, is that white people are always going to be the majority because more people get added to white people. That's what happens. It used to be The Poles weren't white. The Italians weren't white. The Irish weren't white. They used to not be white. A lot of races weren't white. And then they became white. Because the white majority needed to stay. And now you see places like Florida where Hispanics are considered white. That's right. Hispanics are the next white people. And that's because there are white people in Mexico and all that. Like, if you're familiar with Mexicans, there's plenty of people who are of darker complexion, plenty of people of a lighter complexion. That goes with a lot of races. You go to Mexico City, it's just, it's a cornucopia of colors. That is a thing that weirds people out because their worlds are so small. That might be the thing at the end of the day, is everyone's world is quite small sometimes. You can ask a friend how much of the population they think is black, how much they think the population is white. And they'll guess, as I've asked before, like they'll be like, maybe like 50% white people, maybe like 25% black people, then all the other minorities, the other 25%. I've gotten that generalization before. 13% of this country is black. 70% of this country is white. And that blows people's minds every time. We don't understand how white this country is. That majority just keeps happening. No matter how integrated it gets, the majority is just going to be white because the definition just keeps changing. I would like it if at some point we just stopped caring about that. That's the whole thing with Biden, is bringing back to politics a little bit. Why Biden worked and why maybe Kamala Harris wouldn't have worked, why maybe Warren wouldn't have worked, is the majority of this country still believes in just a white guy. Obama was this lightning in a bottle situation where everyone's like, we've had white guys for so long, we should probably make it a black dude finally. We should really do that. And it happened. I don't know when it's going to happen again where a minority can become president. Besides, if, something goes wrong with Biden's health, like, that could happen, of course. Everyone assumes that's going to happen. It's perfectly possible it doesn't happen. People age into a pretty old age these days. I'm curious to see what a 4-year Biden would look like, and also what a, half Biden, half Kamala would look like. I'm curious where we'll go with the next 4 years. Really curious about that. Because the thing was, everyone thought this was a gimme. Everyone thought, Trump's going to lose by a landslide. That was almost a really bad mistake. Because they're saving Buttigieg for the future. Like, we're not going to use him here, we're going to use him for the future kind of situation. And, yeah, Biden was just, in some ideas, Biden was a safe bet, and some ideas, it was handing it to Biden because, Trump's going to lose by a landslide. That was the thought process. There's different thought processes because any party's vast. One thought process was, anyone can win this, Trump's awful. Proved otherwise, so it's a good thing we didn't take any dumb risks. And the other one was, Biden's a safe bet, so make it Biden. And Biden being the safe bet was what worked out. I think I said that wrong. No. Those who wanted to be cautious wanted Biden. And those who didn't want to be cautious and assumed that Trump would lose to anyone did not want Biden. Yeah, okay. So they wanted something more progressive. I think I'm just not thinking of it correctly in the way I was wording all that. So, also I'm really hungry right now, so I'm probably just thinking about my tummy. Racism not dead. Racism is not dead, but if you integrate more people into whiteness, I don't know what that does. We'll see in, the coming decades of how everything shakes out, I suppose. Racism's silly, honestly. But it's because of our tribalness. It's our need to have the other. Racism's need for to have the other. Just two-party systems that need to have an other. It's always this need to have an other. Other by economics, other by stature, others by birth, others by just so many different things. It's a silliness. I don't give a shit about it anymore. I really don't. I remember I did when I was young. And now I just don't care about the other anymore. I don't care about having an other. I really don't care about that. Crapping another person does not make me feel better. I got out of that mindset because I found it just useless. I found it absolutely just not good for the soul, not good for growth, not good for anything. I don't need to climb on top of other people. Except for sex, of course. Alright, so that right there is the vlog. I definitely dragged that on. My bad there. Jinx is gonna kill me for that. But that is the vlog. I don't know what next week will be. I don't know when I'm getting my antidepressant, so I'm really curious how that'll affect me creatively, because I know it does affect people creatively. And that is a fear for sure. That's the vlog. I had fun talking about it, fun watching and listening. That's what it's all about, isn't it? Having fun. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time.